Today our brother Jesse Midget will be exhorting us. His title will be Do Not Exceed Capacity. And he's asked that we read in preparation for his remarks Matthew chapter 6, starting at verse 19 through the end of the chapter. Matthew 6, starting at verse 19. Lay not up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore the eye be singled, the whole body shall be full of light. But if thine eye be evil, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness? No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what you shall eat or what you shall drink, nor yet for your body, what ye shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body more than raiment? Behold, the fowls of the air, they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feedeth them. Are ye not much more better than they? Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 inch unto 1 cubit unto his stature? And why take ye thought for raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. And yet I say unto you that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Wherefore, if God so clothe the grass of the field, and which today is and tomorrow is cast into the oven, shall he not much more clothe you, O ye of little faith? Therefore take no thought, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink? Or wherewithal shall we be clothed? For after all these things do the Gentiles seek. For your heavenly Father knoweth what things ye have need of in all these things. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Take therefore no thought for tomorrow, for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. So let's now give our attention to our brother Jeff.
Thanks. I have to have this auxiliary cooling again because I exceeded my rated cooling capacity. And actually the title is Do Not Exceed Rated Capacity. Like you would find on a circuit panel or a trailer or anything else that has a rated design load. I'm afraid I'm going to fall through these doors to the baptismal pool because they're very springy when I step on them. If anybody's going to break them, it's going to be me. There we go. Thank you. You can see that? Okay. So in this context, this is something I found the other night in my new RV. This is a battery lead to an inverter, 12 volts, and it's crispy. You know, something went through it that was more than it should. And that's one of the fun things I've been dealing with. So I've been retired for 3 weeks. And I've learned a couple of things. First of all, there should be a hyphen between re and tired. I keep working like it's Sunday night and I have to get everything done before tomorrow and I got to go back to work. So it's been busy and that's good, I suppose. However, I did find out as well that the more free time that I have, the more trouble I can get into. I was safe in the playpen at NASA and now I'm out on my own recognizance and things have been happening. Okay, some of them, well, everything is a result of my decisions, but some things didn't need to happen that did happen. And we'll get into that in a bit more. But it was kind of a tough year at work. This was not that year. This would have been 1990 or so. remember those pants? Those, some of you that were like marble tied, bleached pants. Anyways, that is a 8-foot transonic wind tunnel that no longer exists. I outlasted it, they bulldozed it. But of course, a stage photo of me torquing down something. This is actually a model of the underside of an airplane where they release bombs. And we were testing various separation things for the military at this time. NASA is not military, but does a lot of military work. So I've always had good ratings at work, and I like to see outstandings from my supervisors, and I feel good about myself. I was there 37 years, and technically, well, I'm still there. I'm just on leave until January when the real retirement starts. It's the way they did it, which was one of the reasons I took them up on the offer. I worked in wind tunnels. I worked on aircraft as a mechanic, as an engineer designing modifications. I ran the Emissions and Contributions Board until sequestration said awards look wasteful and made us quit. And then the last few years were in technology transfer, which was not anything that I ever wanted to do. It was looking at inventions to see if they're patentable. And if we patent it, we got to sell it to someone as a license. And it was a lot of paperwork and a lot of dealing with lawyers, not to put down lawyers, but I used to tell people my job is to transfer technology, and I have a team of the best lawyers on the planet to keep me from doing it. So anyways, everything has to be just right at NASA. And then this spring especially, I had a new team lead, and I couldn't make her happy. I thought I was doing good stuff and I was working really hard, but she wasn't happy. And then because she wasn't happy, our actual supervisor wasn't happy. And I kind of got a talking to. So you don't improve and start doing more things that we like instead of the things that you're doing, which we told you to do, then you're going to get in trouble. And so the way it works with the government, they put you on a performance improvement plan. A PIP is it's not really called that anymore, but put you on a PIP, and if you can't make them happy then you're fired. And I'm thinking, well, if I couldn't make them happy now, what's to say I can do anything different on a PIP? So I'm pretty much doomed if they do that. And I didn't want to leave that way. I want to leave on my own terms. So then all this stuff happened with downsizing. I got a new team lead because the old team lead retired. My boss retired, but not before she did my final rating and changed my performance plan to hold me tighter to what she wanted, which I appreciate because I'll do what you tell me to do. If it's not what you want, don't tell me to do it. So those sorts of things happen. I was told I did an amazing turnaround, and I'm like, I just didn't do anything really. I just kept doing what I was doing before. But in the meantime, I said, well, maybe if I can just be better, maybe if I can supercharge myself, I can forget less things, I can concentrate harder. And I really self-diagnosed myself as adult ADHD. And probably I've been ADHD my whole life. I've been super forgetful. I one time left a jacket here in this chapel for 4 years. But my family used to follow me around and scoop up stuff. So when I did remember things and go back to it, it wasn't there. And I really thought I was insane. But I am very, outside of the office, outside of work, I'm impulsive. If I see something, I go for it. When I go for it, I go hard. But I thought, hey, let's see what modern medicine can do for me. All right, so typical treatment is something called Adderall, which is a tamer version. It's an amphetamine salt, and it's a tamer version of methamphetamine, which is the street drug meth. And it wasn't always a street drug. It was a military weaponized drug, and is attributed, they called it Pervitin in Germany. The Allies used it too, but really the Germans made it famous. Enabled them to fight like crazy and not sleep and not eat and just be fighting machines, and had a lot to do with the Blitzkrieg, which was a mad dash from Germany to the French coast. Pilots use it to stay focused in those days, but nowadays you can't even get a license within 4 years of taking one of those pills. I don't know why 4 years, but they're pretty concerned about it. And that was one of my bucket list things, was to finally go ahead and get the pilot's license. I could devote the time to it, to do it right, and not, drag it out forever. Nope, I have to wait 4 years before I think about that again. And now with partially blind eye, I don't even know what could happen. And who knows what other health issues may await around the corner. And that's kind of an important thought. I plan to keep working as long as possible at NASA. It's a good place. The money was good. The work environment was good. I had the treetop view out of my office, just a couple doors down from the center director. It was really nice. But something happened. James 4, go to now, ye that say, today or tomorrow we will go into such a city, continue there a year, and buy and sell and get gain, whereas ye know not what shall be in the morrow. For what is your life? It's even a vapor that appears for a little time and then vanishes away. For what you ought to say is, if the Lord will, we shall live and do this or that. So I was thinking, well, I just don't want to be a burden on anybody. I don't have anybody to support. I don't need to pass on a legacy to any children. I don't have those. But I said, well, let's just trade some more time for some more money, some more cushion, so I don't have to run out of money sometime and be a burden maybe on my siblings or somebody else. However, I became eligible for full retirement by age. I had years for a long time, plenty of years. 25 was, a long time ago. And I walked into the bathroom on my way out of the building to run an errand, and I went blind in my left eye completely. Not completely, but if you look at the face of a dial, all I could see was the 11. And I thought, well, that's probably just a visual migraine. I get those sometimes if I have too much caffeine. It's like a floating checkered flag. But it was different, but I was hoping it was just a new version of that. Well, I did my errand, one-eyed, and then I got home and the rest of the evening, and I had some aspirin, and I'm thinking as a mechanic, so what makes your eye switch off? There's no electrical plug for somebody to trip over. It probably has to be the blood carrying the oxygen to the eye has been restricted by something. The only blood thinner I have is aspirin. I had 2 500 milligram aspirins in the whole house. I took one at bedtime and one the next day at noon, and I got gradually half the top half of my vision back. And to describe what I can see, so if I look at the clock, I can't see the door. That is very obscure because there's no sensors to pick up that information, that visual information. And the arteries in your eye are very small. They can't image them. And my big thing was, will it come back? And the answer is no. It's forever gone. That part of your eye is dead. So there's no real reason to ask me if I'm feeling better, because I never felt bad. I just went blind. And it's not going to get better. It's like someone had a hand amputated, and you ask me, is their hand better? Well, no, it's not there anymore. So I do appreciate the concern, but you don't have to worry about that. It is what it is. It could get worse, and it may get worse, but we'll see. It got my attention. Oh, we have a formatting issue. All right, Revelation 3. So what am I supposed to learn? And to the angel of the church of the Laodiceans write, these things say the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of the creation of God. I know thy works, and thou art neither cold nor hot. I would thou wert cold or hot. So then, because thou art lukewarm, and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. Because thou sayest, I am rich and increased with goods, and had need of nothing, and knowest not that thou art wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked. I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich, and white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed, and the shame of thy nakedness do not appear, and anoint thine eyes with eye salve, that thou mayest see. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Be zealous, therefore, and repent. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come to him, and I will sup with them, and he with me. To him that overcomes, I will grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame and am set down with my Father on his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches. This isn't exactly my situation, but I think it's relevant. The doctors there's no reason for this. Believe it or not, I'm a healthy diabetic fat guy. And there was no reason for me to have this stroke. I had no signs of arterial plaque. They checked everything multiple ways. I'm just a healthy guy. Why did it happen? You're just lucky. It's very rare to have an eye stroke. They put me on blood thinners. I saw a lot of eye doctors. I saw one I'll never see again. Permanent death on half of my left retina. All right, I got it. You'll get used to it, and yes, I have. It's less annoying than it was a month ago when it happened. I guess it's almost 2 months now. It does make a lot of things harder to do, and I do a lot of technical things, and I was under the RV running a Sawzall, and I couldn't see anything. I had to lay on my other side so I could use the other eye to see what I was doing, things like that. And it makes me, believe it or not, clumsier and more error prone, because I just don't have the data as clean as I used to get it. No one offered a reason why it happened. My primary care doctor says Adderall causes blood vessels to constrict. And so my pipes got small, and something that shouldn't have been a clot became a clot, and now I'm blind. But I'll tell you this, blindness focuses your perspective. So I'm asking myself, well, how did I get here? Well, I tried taking stimulants to do better at work to please people that I had really no hope of pleasing. I worked hard for 37 years. I did long shifts. I traveled, all that frantic traveling to get places. I sweated on lots of equipment. I bled on equipment. I bled in the dispensary. I did everything that I could do for NASA that they asked me to do, and I tried to do it to my best ability. But thanks to the president's downsizing initiatives, I had an option to continue being paid for a few months and then retire without going to work and maybe start something else. And looking back at my NASA career, I mean, you probably think NASA's really, it is cool, right? It's like the favorite child of the government. It's our fun thing that we do, really, out of all the other agencies that do the dirty work that needs to be done to run a country. I did get to fly a jet and a prop plane a couple times. Those were probably the pinnacles of the career. I ran 35,000 horsepower wind tunnels. I did all kinds of things. It's funny, I had the doctor call me. It's not in the presentation here, but it's a good story. We had one doctor at NASA, and he called me and he said, Jesse, you have a bunch of medical protocols that require special medical clearance to do, and you have more than anybody else on Langley, and I don't believe that you do all this stuff, and I'm gonna call your boss, and we're gonna pull you on the carpet. So he called my boss, and my boss looked at the list of things, and he said, well, yeah, he does all this, but we did take the laser off his jet, so you can take the laser rating off. And so that was, my boss called me in the office with a smirk to tell me this story. But yeah, I tried really hard. I learned everything they would teach me. I took stuff I didn't need to take. I did things I didn't need to do. Anyways, NASA is a great place, but looking back on it, it wasn't what I thought it would be. The last 15 years have been, desk work and not interesting. That was really the problem and the need for Adderall. It just wasn't all that interesting. Okay, it's time to stop complaining about my old job. So I'm now like, hey, I always wanted to travel, but I was waiting for someone to go with me or something, and I decided to stop waiting. So I'm gonna do the things that I want. I'm gonna go see the things in this country I can see that I've wanted to see my whole life. I'm not waiting anymore. I've got 2 beautiful dogs, an Irish setter and a greyhound that are just absolutely my treasures in this life. They are so beautiful and sweet. And I'm gonna video them and me traveling and put it on YouTube and hope that maybe I get monetized and get a small revenue stream from this. So I bought an old but really nice RV. And you can see it barely in the background there. Anyways, I didn't want to just do it frivolous traveling. I said, well, why don't I stop in? Because remember I had this initiative where I said call people just out of the blue. Pick up the green book and call people and say, hi, I'm your brother, we've never met. But I just wanted to let you know that I'm here sharing this journey with you. Well, I want to use that as the backbone for my travels and hit as many of those places, those ecclesias as I can, and put out some leaflets with their address and maybe get something happening. Maybe I tried too hard on many things, so we'll see. But I also wanted to visit those in isolation. Someone needs an air conditioner installed in the window, or a tree chopped down, or some of the things that I can do, a car tune-up, oil change, tire repair. I can do these things, and maybe I could be useful on my travels. But this isn't actually a problem, but that's grease on the underside of an RV, and it's not all that pretty, okay? And oddly enough, my first video, when I did it, YouTube would only put this as my thumbnail for that video. It turned out I had to have my account validated with my new cell phone, and then I was allowed to put thumbnails in. But I wasted 2 hours trying to figure out why I couldn't get my thumbnail in there. Anyways, first step, get the RV inspected. It cost $5,500 to get the RV through inspection, not because there was that much wrong with it, because I went to that expensive a place. And I do know the difference. So it's not $1,000 to change one bushing. So anyways, huge bills poured in. I'm dealing with these, and my whole vision for the journey, it's called a Winnebago journey, by the way, is the model, was starting to get blurred and obscured by the problems. There was a title problem. I had to get a branded title or no title at all, because the mileage, someone had wrote in 65,000 even on the old title. I didn't see that coming. I should have, but I've never had that on a title. I've bought lots of things, never seen that one. And my travel channel is currently an RV repair channel. And there are people that make their money doing that on YouTube, and there's a lot of things that I'm fixing that maybe people will look up and maybe it'll work, but it wasn't the plan. And then I started looking kind of overall at things that I've done in my life. And so everything that I buy becomes a plug for problems. It's now this thing that's part of me, and its problems are now mine. So keep this in mind. Every time you buy something, you're adding a new inlet for problems. And I overdo everything. This is me enjoying a lawnmower that's not going anywhere. A long time ago. That might be where my red car fixation came from, I don't know. But I find something interesting, I focus on it to the obscuration of something else, and this is ADHD. People think ADHD is inability to concentrate. No, it's concentrating on one thing that's popped up too much to the obscuring of other things. And there's also impulsivity is a huge part. So I'll do things, bam, that I shouldn't have done, or I should have thought about more, or I should have shopped more. I'll just strike while the iron is hot, and I'll go in big and I'll crash big. Someone told me once I ski on every part of my body, like I'm just like blam into a crater, and then I get up into another crater. That's kind of my life. Proverbs 14, there is a way which seems right unto a man. It seemed like a good idea at the time. You ever heard that before? But the end thereof are the ways of death. Even in laughter, the heart is sorrowful, and the end of mirth is heaviness. So every journey starts with a step, and that's the first thing I broke on the journey. As it turns out, they hang under the chin of the journey, and if you have a big crowned street and a culvert out of your driveway, you can ram in and ruin a $700 set of steps instantly, because they're power and automatic and all that stuff. So the night I wanted to leave NASA on my terms. I was going to bring the RV with my dogs, park it at the gate, or coworkers take me in, I turn in all my stuff, I leave again. I had this whole thing planned out. I took a video of it, some pictures. Anyways, I took some pictures of it. So I wanted these steps fixed so that my coworkers could go in and check out the new big plan van that I got. And so 9 p.m. that night, I'm reinstalling the steps because I snapped the last fastener off, installing them the first time, and laying in a puddle of sweat and blood and cardboard on my gravel driveway, going, well, this is all too familiar. This is how stuff always ends up. A big push, late at night, with a headlight on, laying in a puddle of blood and sweat. And the reason the blood is, well, I was on blood thinners. You scratch yourself, it bleeds for an hour, and you don't even know where it's coming from. You hope it's not important, but you keep working. And so I realized, hey, Jesse, you overdid it again. You bit off more than you can chew. It seemed like a good idea at the time, but you opened the door, you opened the floodgates, and here it comes. All right, big ticket items, the branded title. I don't even know how much that'll cost me when I go to resell it. It devalues it. That big inspection bill, I was thinking $3,000 on the outside. No. And then I hired an electrician to put a plug in so I could work on the RV inside to get some things the way I like them in air conditioning and maybe not sweat for once. Well, he wired it like a dryer with 240 AC on a 120 circuit, and he burnt up my appliances. And he believes it should have worked, and I don't, because we were both there when it smoked and sizzled into death. So I'm about $10,000 over projected cost at this point, and this is in 3 weeks now, folks. This is not something I mean, we're in a scope of errors that is much beyond my normal scope of errors now, okay? I don't mean for this to be comedic, but it has to be, or else it's sad. And then when I start driving it, it's 8 miles per gallon and other stuff is gonna break, so hang on, this is just the beginning, and it's like going over a slope and thinking it's not too steep and realizing, oh, it's a lot steeper than it looked at the top. All right. Also, I gotta examine my motives. I'm sorry about the formatting. It worked on my machine, but it's not working here. I tried to cram too much into my slides. I overdo everything. So, hey, cruising around in an RV, hi, I'm here to help. That's not the most subtle and humble way to go around spreading the word. I'm like, well, you know, I have to admit that maybe there is something about this is for Jesse. A large part of it is for Jesse and not necessarily for seeing what I could do for the ecclesias and outreach. So I read this one a little differently. I never thought I'd have, who would do this? Take heed that you do not your alms before men to be seen of them, otherwise you have no reward of your Father which is in heaven. Therefore, when thou doest thine alms, do not sound a trumpet before thee. Actually, I have air horns on the Winnebago. As the hypocrites do in synagogues and in the streets, and that they may have glory of men. Verily, I say unto you, they have the reward. But when you do alms, let not your left hand know what your right hand does, that your alms may be in secret, and your Father which seeth in secret himself shall reward thee openly. And of course, my plan is to video everything and put it on the internet. So here we go. And when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are. For they love to pray, standing in synagogues and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou shut the door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. Well, I'm not abandoning the plan, but I'm going to try to not make a big deal about stuff. At least not in a way that it glorifies me, right? All right, so I'm single, and I do a lot of things just to keep busy, because if I sit around, I can get depressed. So fast motorcycles, yes. Car racing, yes. I even bought, my first RV was a trailer. It's this huge triple axle thing for hauling a race car, and it has a bedroom and a kitchen and everything too. It's a big monster. Well, I always want the really, Mac Daddy stuff, they call it, right? But I can't afford it, so I get an older version of it. And I did that with the old RV, and now the roof is falling in because it's rotten. You know what? I may have done the exact same thing with the new RV. In retrospect, it's actually older than the other was when I bought it. But it's made out of metal. I'm hoping it's a little better. All right, and I did the same thing with my race cars. I didn't get a lot of racing time because the cars were old and I broke them because they were already worn out. I broke them quite readily. Stuff, and more stuff. You should see the stuff that I have, because each one of these endeavors brings with it the stuff to maintain it and repair it, because all my stuff needs fixing. As soon as I buy it, it's going to break. Well, ADHD made me impulsive. so I ended up with the biggest mistake probably I'll have made. Not that it's going to finish me off, but when I look at the balance sheet, that's going to be the big ticket item of mistakes, likely. I hope. Let's just hope that stops there. So I should have kept it simple. You don't have to have an RV to preach the word. You don't have to travel around. What about your backyard? What about your home area? And we already talked about Matthew 6:19, but it's relevant again. There it is again. And so here's the thing, that last line, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So I don't consider myself obsessed with my stuff. I hardly wash and wax my cars. They're nice cars that do the things that I want them to do, but I don't sit around and polish them and treat them like an idol. I don't. I use them. I take my dogs to the park in them. I put an air conditioner in the back and take it home. Whatever I have to do, the car does for me. And it's not a thing on a pedestal. Well, here's the thing about your heart. Your heart and your mind are kind of the same thing. So once you think about this stuff all the time, when it's time to think about writing an exhortation, it's hard to change gears. And it's in your heart. Again, I buy entropy inlets. That's not my camper. That's half the size, a third of the size of the one that I have that's falling apart. But that's the idea. You see these, have you ever seen a rotten camper sitting somewhere and how sad that is, how depressed it makes you just looking at it? I now own a giant one of these. And so I can fix anything, but I have to be able to focus on it and put the resources on it to fix it. And I got too many things coming at me. It's like the tennis balls being shot out of the tennis ball tosser too quick. And in the background of all this, while I'm not getting to stuff, termites and rot, and the scripture refers to them as moths, are there in the background eating away at everything. And you know what? It's harder to get rid of stuff than it is to buy it. So it can be difficult to buy it, but it's going to be even harder to get rid of it when the time comes. And I thought retirement, I'd have time to get to these, and then I bought the RV and I got a whole new set, so I could do this. Once I finish the RV, I could do that, which I'm waiting to do that, and that, and that. It's just impossible. So a simple doing reminder. I don't need an elaborate plan to serve God. I just need to do it, right? I don't need expensive things to serve God. Use what you have. Let God do the work. I just need to serve God. I'm using very general terms here, but we know work put in that category will never rust or rot. I've worked on things and got them shiny and then seen them rust away again. I'm that old now. So they say if you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. However, with me, the hole is caving in, and I have to keep digging to have any hope of getting out. But you might dig so deep that you're stuck in the hole for a long time. It might be hard to get out of. You got to put the time in. And then how about extra capacity for things you might need to do? This is a great picture. I don't know where the parents are, but that's a load for that little girl to carry her brother and sticks. Probably sugar cane or something. So don't book yourself so tight you don't have reserve capacity if you're called on to help somebody. Save some reserve capacity. And to drive this home to me, a friend of mine whose husband had just had cancer surgery called me and said, "Hey, I need your help to go get a car." I'm like, wow, I budgeted this Saturday to do this exhortation. Luckily, it was only an hour and a half round trip, so it wasn't that bad, but I hadn't planned on that. And the neighbor called and said, "Hey, the guy that was dog sitting can't make it, so can you dog sit?" So those two extra things showed up yesterday afternoon, and I had no idea in the morning that these were going to happen. And so suddenly, I'm in a time crunch because I work best in a time crunch, but now it's 20% less time than I planned to crunch with. I hadn't left reserve capacity. All right, so here we are, the story of Jesse and the whale of Bago. If Jonah had simply done what he needed to do, he wouldn't have had the discomfort of being swallowed and transported by a giant whale. And you know what? This isn't an exact parallel to my situation, but the scale of I don't see the whale as entirely a rescue thing. It's not a happy, to me, it's not really a happy thing. It's to be eaten by a whale. I see it as part of punishment, and part of the learning process is, okay, I'm now in the belly of a whale, and it's icky in here, and what did I do to get here? And here's a learning process. And so I'm about to be gobbled up by a 43,000-pound vehicle. Okay? All right. And why did I told you why I chose the topic. I can't think about anything else right now. And I'm trying to learn what I need to learn. I'm in what I'm in. So can I get out of it and do better next time? And again, the same Matthew 6 thing. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. And hopefully I'm an extreme case. I'm a hyperbole. But everyone has to deal with this to some degree in their lives as well. And that's why I'm presenting it to you today. But let's finish off with Matthew 11 at verse 25. And at that time, Jesus answered and said, I thank thee, O Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because thou hast hid these things from the wise and prudent, and hast revealed them unto babes. Even so, Father, for so it seemed good in thy sight. All things are delivered unto me of my Father, and no man knoweth the Son but the Father, neither knoweth any man the Father save the Son, and he to whomsoever the Son will reveal him. And these are the most important, hard-hitting verses. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Please, some rest would be nice. I got 4 hours of sleep last night because my brain switched on at 4 a.m. With these things. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. And guess what, folks? The yoke and burdens I put on me are not easy and light. Sounds good to me. Thank you.